I'm Joanne Bowling, and I just wrote a book, and my book is called We the People Empowered to Restore the Republic. This video is introducing America to this book. This is the book. I'm going to talk about this book today. As a matter of fact, I'm going to read from this book some of the quotes that I put in this book. What inspired me to write this book was my concern for what's going on in America today. And as individual Americans, we have the power that was given to us by the founding fathers to change the course of this nation and therefore change the course of history. Our job and our responsibility as Americans is not to just live our lives, but to be a part of helping our country succeed. How many people today do you know have that attitude about the country they live in? All of us came here as immigrants, every single one of us, even Native Americans. Now, I have in my history and in my background, in my gene pool, Native American, Black, and Caucasians. So I'm all three, but I'm none of those really. I am an American above all. So I want to challenge you today, and I want to expose you to something that has been lost along the way. Here's what's been lost along the way: the intentions. What did the founding fathers intend when they poured the foundation of this nation? Why is this nation so unique and different from any of the 191 nations in the world? Why? Ask yourself that question. And the most important question is, why are you in America? Why are you an American? I ask that question. The reason being, it's for purpose. Purpose has everything to do with everything. So, Thomas Paine said, very interesting quote here. As a matter of fact, Stephen Covey, when he wrote The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, actually quoted Thomas Paine, this exact same quote. Here is the quote. He says, "That which we obtain too easily, we esteem too lightly. It is dearness only which gives everything its value. Heaven knows how to put a proper price on its goods." That's Thomas Paine. Everything has a purpose because everything has value to whom? To God, because He is the creator of all. Now, God's plan for this nation was actually carried out by the founding fathers. They understood and had a conviction, deep conviction about their purpose. I am going to read in their own words from my book exactly why they did what they did. And an interesting thing is the problems we experience today in America, they already have the solution. We don't need to go and try to get new solutions, come up with new ideas. There's nothing new under the sun. So there aren't any new ideas. But when they poured the foundation, they also gave the remedy for the cracks in the foundation that they knew would come. So let's talk about that today. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal. Have you heard of that before? That is what Thomas Jefferson penned in the Declaration of Independence. That they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. That among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. But here's the key point, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundations on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Now, we have a problem today. That is safety and happiness. Our safety and our happiness has been dramatically compromised. Our government has failed us. But you know something? Not really. Our government has really not failed us. We have failed us. Because interesting thing about government that Thomas Jefferson wrote and the founding fathers wrote, they said, you know what? If we do not watch, our lawmakers and our representatives would become wolves. It is our responsibility to watch. It is our responsibility to make sure that our government lines up with our safety and happiness. Now, I'm going to go ahead and talk about something interesting, the Mayflower Compact. You know, the Mayflower Compact was a formalized decision or an agreement or a document of only 200 words that the Pilgrims came to an agreement among themselves. Here is the point. The covenant, the Mayflower Compact actually became the covenant. And the colonists promised to enact, constitute, and frame such just and equal laws, ordinances, acts, constitutions, and offices from time to time as shall be thought most meet or suitable or proper or qualified and convenient for the government, for the general good of the colony, unto which we promise all due submission and obedience. Now, that actually is the basis of the Constitution, that compact. And every single American, when you become an American, whether you're born American or become a naturalized citizen through immigration, you are actually agreeing to that compact. Now, that is a covenant. So America was founded by divine providence for a specific purpose, and we are bound by a covenant. We need to know what that covenant is. In my book, I explain how that covenant came about. I want to move on to something that was spoken by Joseph Warren. Joseph Warren was also one of the founders. He was not as well known as Thomas Jefferson, but Joseph Warren said something at that time that actually applies to today. He said, our country is in danger, but not to be despaired of. Our enemies are numerous and powerful, but we have many friends determining to be free, and heaven and earth will aid the resolution. On you depend the fortunes of America. You are to decide the important question on which rests the happiness and liberty of millions yet unborn. Act worthy of yourselves. Listen at that. You are to decide the important question on which rests the happiness and millions yet unborn. Act worthy of yourselves. That is what we're talking about today. There are generations of millions of people who are yet to be born, whose livelihood, whose happiness will depend on what we do today in this moment in time. You know, one of the things that the founding fathers did was they realized their God-given purpose, and they founded a nation which was an experiment to the rest of the world. And they were so successful in pouring that foundation and fulfilling their call that you and I can live and walk out our purpose and destiny in a country that allows freedom. We need to maintain that because we are losing that. But in the middle of that, they gave us a warning. They said, the founding fathers said this, their biggest fear. Thomas Jefferson's greatest fear was the fact that the great object of my fear is the federal government or judiciary. That body, like gravity, ever acting with noiseless foot and alarming advance, gaining ground step by step, and holding with what it gains, is engulfing insidiously the special governments into the jaws of that which feeds them. He said, the natural progress of things is for liberty to yield and government to gain ground. And that's exactly what we have seen right now. And I'm going to talk about government. One of the things that they said was that government would actually do this. He said that if we did not watch, that they will become wolves. The preamble to the Constitution, listen to it. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the common welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution of the United States of America. In order for us to do that, it said, we the people. Folks, that is the key. They put the hand and they put the continuation of freedom in America in the hands of the people, not government. That is the key. Americanism is the knowledge of the loyalty or inspiration of the army of principles, all one God and faith, that lightning like unite the human race. For we are all one or none. Exceptions eternally? Absolutely none. Noah Webster. We are one nation under God. George Washington said something that was very important, and I have it in my book. He said, government, like fire, is our useful servant if fully controlled by us, its citizens. And government, exactly like fire, becomes our most destructive master if not fully controlled by the open majority of its productive working citizens. Only united, armed, vigilant, and trained. The Army of Principles by George Washington. He said, only united, armed, vigilant, and trained. Trained in what? Trained in the principles upon which this nation was founded. This principle, the nation that was founded upon universal principles, they were God's laws, the natural laws. One of the things that Noah Webster said was conscience. And he said, conscience is the moral law. God gave us all conscience. He gave us the moral law. We know right from wrong. So fellow Americans, what is your job? Your job is to know right from wrong. So when government puts upon us or attempts to put upon us or bestow upon us rights, which they cannot bestow because all rights come from God. Rights do not come from men. We have all the rights that we need. So anyone coming to us and saying, we want to give you rights, folks, we know right from wrong. And so that's our job. Our job is to check. Our job is to say no. Now, we have a government that is way out of its bounds. We have activist judges who are way out of their bounds. I'll give you an example. In California, when they ran Proposition 8, 50 million people voted for marriage to be one man and one woman. But 5 judges or magistrates overruled 50 million people. My question to you, America, is why do we tolerate that? Why do we not rebel? Why do we not rise up? Thomas Jefferson said, and I quote him, he liked a little rebellion every once in a while. And that's our job, is to rebel. We have people who we elect as representatives, and they are not representing us. They are representing only 14% of the entire population. 86% of Americans say they want marriage, one man, one woman. 86% of people are against it, but yet it was voted in. So they don't represent us. They only represent the minority. We have a minority voice that's running the country. Now, it's only because we have been silent or we have been quiet. And when I say quiet, that means we murmur among ourselves and complain among ourselves about the condition of our country. But folks, you know what? We are the soul of the nation. We are not David's against the Goliath without a weapon. We are David against the Goliath, and our founding fathers gave us a weapon. He gave each of us a stone that's called a vote. So we are to use that vote. What I recommend in my book, and you read it, I recommend teaching this book, and it's written to teach this book to every neighbor. Have home groups. Do mastermind groups. Invite your friends together. Buy the book. Teach the book. Elected representatives, we need to send them a message. The message that we're going to send them is simply this. We are going to vote you out. We will not do any more 2 terms. Why wait for them to limit their terms? Would you limit your term if you were them? No, you wouldn't. So why wait for them to limit their terms? Let's use our power collectively and let's have only 1 term representatives. No matter how good the job they do or no matter how bad the job they do, re-elect nobody. Re-elect nobody. And we will find out who they are and give them their 2 years, the time of their term, to serve us appropriately. But that's the message that we send. Re-elect nobody. There is no good government. And this is a quote from Joseph Story on the commentaries on the Constitution. He said, there is no good government, but what is Republican? That the only valuable part of the British Constitution is that. For the true idea of a republic is an empire of laws and not of men. That as a republic is the best of government, so that particular arrangements of the powers of society, or in other words, that form of government of which is best contrived to secure an impartial and exact execution of the law, is the best of republics. Here is what was said, Thomas Jefferson said. He said, a free people claim their rights as derived from the laws of nature and not as the gift of their chief magistrate, Thomas Jefferson. Additionally, he said, the Republican is the only form of government which is not eternally at open or secret war with the rights of mankind. Our government is at war with our rights, and the news media is propping them up. And I talk about the 7 pillars of society, or the 7 areas in society that actually affects all of society. And so we can have a voice to say and impact all 7 of those centers of culture or pillars of society. In this book, they are mentioned in their entirety. And this book is only 156 pages, but it is an excellent resource. I recommend that you start requiring that this book be included as part of your children's curriculum, because I quote the founding fathers on every topic and every center of culture. The centers of cultures, or the 7 centers of cultures, are basically government, religion, family, the media, the arts, education, and the last center is finance and business. About our jobs. What about our jobs? Why are our jobs going overseas? And what we can do as individuals, we the people, we have the power, folks, to create jobs. We have the power to bring jobs back. We have the power to go into full employment. We are the ones that actually promote the velocity of the dollar. We can do this, but it's going to take every single individual, productive, working citizen. I talk about EPA and its impact on jobs and government, on our jobs, and what the government is doing at open war against jobs. So I want you to go to my website. My website is www.resultsdrivenprofit.com and order this book. You can actually Google it, Empowered to Restore the Republic. It's also available on Amazon.com. But this book is designed for the average American. And I talk about the problem with the debt. We can solve the debt problem. The solution is in this book. Get this book, get your copy right away. Go right away to that website. Do not hesitate and purchase this book. It is the best thing that any American can do. Thank you, my fellow American.